We are back for the final game of the third place decider match, potentially, because TOP Esports are now 2-0 up over Bilibili Gaming after taking a dominating second game. Now, we got to talk a little bit before we talk about last game. Let's talk about the implications going into this next one, because if Top win this one, BLG are gone.
They're out. And more importantly, Top are seeded into first place. But if Top do miraculously get 3-2, sorry, a reverse sweep by BLG, BLG stay in, and more importantly, the first round is going to be BLG and Top again in a cruel twist of fate.
So we're going to have a real fun best of 10 coming at us potentially. So hopefully, for these teams' sakes, if it goes that far, it's a close one.
I mean, look, it's not just Top and Top's fans who want them to win, but JDG are also riding on the line. Looks like a very easy line for them right now, but if BLG win, the JDG are also eliminated. So if TOP manage to take out a victory today, it does mean the JDG stick in.
Yep, a lot riding on the line here for this potential final game. So let's go back to the last game and see exactly how we got here. Let's start with the MVP. There's going to be no surprise here. Knight.
Yeah, of course, bring it up, 5-1-7, but that doesn't even do him justice in that game just then. He wasn't just outputting damage, he wasn't just cleaning up kills for himself, he was exerting pressure. They were playing around Dragon, they were playing around Baron, they were playing around this guy. Take a look at that. A very hard dive by BLG, and immediately Knight knows how to outplay this. Actually goes back towards his team in order to secure his own life as well as the kill down onto ADD. But more importantly, he was so crucial in setting up his team for objectives. This one was the very first one when he was engaging onto ADD, and it didn't stop there because ADD could never really engage down onto the rest of the members of Top. Top were just free hitting onto their opponents, and then Knight just cleans it up on the backside.
When you can literally 1v1 anyone in the entire game, you have by yourself insane zoning potential. This is the 1v1 we didn't get to see on screen. I guess we're not going to get to see it again.
Take it away. However, when you come back, ADD, he's just dead.
He's gone.
More to the point, Meteor saw him over the wall. So he knew that there was a castle in that brush, but he left ADD for dead anyway. So
when you're that scary,
yep.
So that's time to start calling in the troops, but they weren't able to stop Knight in game number two. Game number 3, I'm a little bit worried here. I want to see what Coach Sim has in store because Knight has now taken over the game by himself 2 games in a row.
If they haven't flipped the table, then they should right now because they need to have a completely different revolutionary path. No more of this Ezreal Corki. Can't play towards the late game. Must have strong early game. And I would like to see it down onto the bottom side. Take a heal, take Ignite, take Combat Summoner's bottom lane to make sure that you can actually take that fight. In the top lane, draft something that wins. And more importantly, we've been tantalizing close to actually see it within this match, but we haven't actually seen it yet. I want to see the Shyvana jungle. It worked out so well. And more to the point, Meteor, you looked a bit lackluster in the first and second game. Maybe you can make a name for yourself in the third one.
Second game, you know, when XX turned himself back into that jungler that Top needs, it was a whole lot scarier. It was a whole different story. So I want to see him stay in the same form. Of course, we still do have Chocho in the bottom lane, I believe, against XinMo, of course, but TOP look invigorated.
Yeah.
They did not look this strong in game number 1. They've now won 2 games in a row. The momentum they feel going into this game is massive. So for BLG to bring it out, they have to find something new. They have to find a way to stop TES in their tracks.
Yeah, it kind of looks as if they're just a swinging wrecking ball, and in their direction is BLG. So far, 2-0, looking to get a clean 3-0 victory within this game. Look, they look so strong in the second game compared to the third. If you want to say that that's Chuchu coming in and his communication and his calls as well, I won't stop you, because that looked much different from the first game, where they looked like they were lacking focus, where they weren't fighting around the Drakes, didn't know the important timings of all of those things. However, with the second game, looked much cleaner, fighting around Drakes, getting advantages for yourself, making sure that even if you didn't get enough of a lead, you had the solid late game with a 5 Elder Drake under your belt. Ultimately, didn't even need it for the team because they closed it out with that very last team fight, but all of those calls coming in from Top meant that BLG were hemmed in from the beginning.
Well, and it's not even like Top weren't feeling any pressure, right? Because that's one of the accusations you can fly at a team who, especially like Top, who have the tendency to just steamroll through the power of their solo lanes. But this time, ADD dove 369 repeatedly.
Yeah.
That was at least 2 two-man dives into the top side of the map, where 369 just had no way out, and there was no way for him to outplay those ganks. He went down in them, but Top didn't fall. They didn't falter. They kept going. They kept Knight alive. They kept their bottom lane rolling. XX came up there, and 369 in the later stages of the game was a huge contributing factor to the team. So not only did he not tilt, but he took that disadvantage in the early stages of the lane and turned them into an advantage later. ADD was not able to transfer his advantage in the lane into anything. Remember, 0 and 7.
Yeah, and that was the problem, right? Because even though he played the early game really well, the game, League of Legends is not just early game. You need to have good communication with the rest of your team. When he was diving in the mid game and late game, his team wasn't following. Maybe it requires a change. Maybe it requires a tank onto ADD. He has performed very well, but if this Aatrox isn't banned away from him, then maybe that is one of the directions that he can move towards.
Of course, BLG going to take away the first 3 bans. They are going to ban away the Gragas this time. Makes a little bit of sense after XX's performance on it last game. So they're going to ban away the Gragas, Yuumi, and Gangplank. Top Esports themselves going to ban away the Olaf and Silas again. And this time it's going to be the Jarvan they're taking away. But wow!
I like it.
That's the first pickup there. That's going to be the Akali picked up by BLG.
Yeah, and I'm going to go bold, but I'm going to say that that's ADD's Akali as well, because Kuro, not known as a very good assassin player, hasn't really got that in his kit. But over on the other side, a denial away, 369. Can you do it? Can you show who's boss?
Ah, come on.
All right.
I was waiting to make finger guns at the screen.
Still a chance, though.
They're going to take away the QuiQui this time as well. So Kuro going to be taking away the pick he's been so used to playing for the past 2 games.
Yeah, just wants to take away that security. But in all honesty, Azaya Rakan is still on the table. Can only pick up half of that composition, but whichever one you leave up, BLG could very heavily deny. So immediately Top don't actually want to go for the power duo that carried them through the second game. It's very interesting. I
like that the Zaya was taken away here, because if I know anything about Jinjiao, yes, his Ezreal is good, but his Zaya especially has been incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, all right. Kiana going to be picked up there by Meteor, followed by the Nico immediately.
That's it.
That's exactly where those champions are going, by the way. That's going to be ADD, Akali, Meteor, Kiana, and Nico there for Kuro.
Yeah, that's not going to change. We saw this into the EDG series that BLG had as well. This is such a good composition for themselves. First 2 games, Kiana was banned away, so BLG had no chance to pick it up. But now they can finally show that prowess. And let me say, the top side of this map is going to be deadly for BLG. They've got 2 very heavy assassins, and Kuro has been known to get multi-man ultimates. Take a look at that guy's highlight reel throughout that series. There is a reason why they advanced and EDG did not. And it is off the backs of this massive Nico play.
Especially in combination with the Kiana, you just have so much AoE CC. If you land a beautiful wall stun, suddenly you then have the Pop Blossom to follow up, and that is a ton of AoE CC with damage the Top Esports might not have an answer to.
Yeah, it looks so beautiful. When you pair the Kiana with the Nico, you got the lockdown into the damage, and when you pair Kiana with the Akali, you've got double burst, which means regardless of which lane they're into, chances are they can 100-0, especially in the early game. Now, of course, you can't just say that in isolation. You've got to take a look at Top's comp, and you have to say you gave away the Zaya Rakan even though it was unevenly matched. Of course, you needed to deny the QuiQui away, but they still managed to get that very strong bottom lane that they've been known to execute on. The one problem that BLG had in the early game of game number 2 was the fact that they had nowhere really to gank, no winning lanes. But with an Akali and a Nico, that story's changed.
They've got the opportunity now. I do enjoy the cheeky bans here from Top Esports. They've taken away, they've literally just banned the bot lane that BLG has been playing.
Yeah, like you literally can't do it. And look, that
they
was
just
really
banned away like half the map that BLG have been playing the entire series.
Look, it's smart, right? Because when you take a look at the Ezreal and the Tahm Kench, that was giving them hell. There was no way that they were diving. They couldn't even win the bottom lane 2v2s other than forcing them out and then just getting a teleport back. So taking it away means that they have a very dominant bottom lane. They were looking to execute on it in game number 2. Now maybe they can in game number 3.
The Aatrox being taken away as well by BLG alongside the Zoe. Picks away from 369 and Knight, but there's going to be the Skarner picked up there by XX.
Oh yeah, very interesting. I mean, he's throwing the gauntlet. He's saying, I don't actually trust Meteor to get that much ahead for himself in the early game. BLG's not really known for it, but hey, their composition definitely is, and this is a great bottom lane for BLG. They took my advice to a T. All of their lanes are looking aggressive. All of their lanes look like they want 100-0. Kaiser Nautilus is one of the strongest bottom lanes because Nautilus can apply 4 stacks of Kaiser's passive just at level 1 with a Q and a passive auto attack.
Now the Rise is going to round out the composition there for Top Esports. So this is a very, very different game here. And for once, I'm really feeling BLG's composition.
Yeah, I'm feeling it, but you can't take anything away from top either. I expect that Rise to go into the top lane unless they want to keep it as it is right now, because 369 has actually played a couple of games on the Rise, won both of those games, looked really strong doing so. But if they want to have the superior matchup, look at this. This is Mind Games superior. Mid lane and top lane, they're swapping it around because they want an advantageous match.
Well, and remember, we've seen here in the LPL plenty of times they'll just switch the players as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
really,
you could always do that.
There's so many mind games going on here. Mind games upon mind games upon mind games. And the most important game of all is this game number 3, because once again, this is match point of the series for Top Esports, because they may just 3-0 if they're able to win this one. But the composition of BLG giving me a little bit more faith.
Yeah, completely overhauled what they were used to. No more of the Corky Ezreal guaranteed late game that ultimately never came for the side of BLG. Now they want to go guns blazing. They're going into unknown territory because it's not very often that they play towards the early game, but we have seen Meteor on Qiyana before. We know that ADD can play this Akali, usually rotated over to the top side. So everything is falling into place for BLG. Now we just have to see if they can match top in their early game aggression, because they're going into very familiar champs for Top Esports. And if they really want to win, then they need to bring the A game, especially in terms of 1v1s, in terms of 2v2s, and in terms of mechanics.
Top Esports, though, they've mixed up the composition on their own, but they still do have that Zyrakan, the Lovers duo, bottom lane. They've got Knight on the Rise for plenty of side lane plays, and 369 on the Corky as well. They've got a composition they can work with. They've got a composition they can win with, but will BLG be good enough to stop it?
Rise ulti also pairs very well with Skarner to get him into the back line of your opposition. However, that is very late game, and if they can't make it there because, funnily enough, BLG pushed them, then that might push them off the edge.
A little bit of a paradigm shift here as we go into the match point of the series. Top Esports currently 2-0, looking to secure their way into the Gauntlet Finals, but BLG hold out hope in game number 3 that they're still in it.
What did that guy say? Did you hear him?
I think
that wasn't LGD.
That wasn't LGD for once. See, we're confused because we're so conditioned to just hearing LGD that we tune out the last thing we hear.
Yeah.
But
couldn't make it out.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But 369 going to be going Klepto into the top lane, just trying to harass out the Akali, and ADD, of course, wants to counter that with the fleet footwork of his own, give himself a little bit of sustain in that top side of the map.
Look, if you've got the 100-0 potential at level 6, and if you've got the range before level 6 anyway, then of course you're going to be going towards what makes you the most money. 369, it is the natural choice, and more importantly, because it's a range matchup, he's going to have a really great time, because Akali is not actually that strong before she has access to her ultimate, doesn't have that much burst potential, so with the fleet footwork, is just looking to survive this lane.
Now down here in the bottom lane, how are you feeling about this one? Because Jinjiao and XinMo, for once, have a lot of early game pressure. Like you said, 4 stacks instantly applied there by XinMo if they are able to find the engage.
Usually you can't match up into Zyrakan, but if ever you had a chance, and this is the composition to do so, the Nautilus and also the Kai'Sa, I should say, have such good counter engage onto the Zyrakan. So as soon as Rakan blows his W, and if he doesn't actually catch anybody, or even if he does and he catches XinMo, expect a response coming out from the bottom lane, and it will go towards the very last wire. So checking out the summoners, I was talking about that as well. Game number 1, game number 2, double TP for both of these 2 bot lanes, but now that they both brought heal with them, you can expect some action.
Speaking of action, the mid lane flash binding, not going to land there from Kuro. That's painful to watch. Meteor not going to find any damage on the Knight 9 as well. That's a really rough first gank coming in from both sides.
You like the idea, but unfortunately the execution wasn't there. He wanted to get Knight to actually flash into it, but Knight just held it very calm and didn't actually engage.
Chocho getting the knockup. There's the Knight down onto Jinjiao. Heal already burned. That is so much damage under the AD carry of BLG, and Chocho gets out without anything being piled. Meteor comes in for another gank. Looking for it onto 369. Electrocute's been proc. May be able to find it. Flash out from 369. The auto onto ADD as well. Meteor might be looking for it still.
I don't believe he has a range. It's going to be very hard for him to actually get this if there's a sidestep. Oh, never mind.
He finds it, but is there a return damage? No, he's going to
Oh!
make it out. First blood goes down onto Meteor. Very cheeky from him. Flash is blown from both himself and 369. Here comes the engagement in the bottom line. But there, Chocho gets another knockup onto Jinjiao. Not going to be able to find the feathers, but they fly away. Jinjiao may be forced out of lane at this point.
Heavy focus onto Jinjiao. You could just ignore XinMo after he uses his Q. However, XX is here, and they've got the dive.
Teleport
Even a TP.
coming in as well. This is a lot committed. Teleport from both sides now. Knight's already here. They're looking for Jinjiao. They will be able to find him. But what can ADD and Kuro find? Knight's going to be able to make his way out, hopefully with the heal. Chocho flashes away. Knight's still alive. Chocho so low, but ADD won't be able to chase after him. But XX in a little bit of trouble. He will be able to find his way to the Spire. That means the BLG have no way to chase this. Top Esports able to pick up a kill.
Well played, and more importantly, Knight actually sidestepping down so he wasn't even caught by any of the Qs, just like we saw in mid lane, now in bottom lane again. No matter, no problems, because he was just dodging that out, wasn't going to get caught under turret, and very cleanly executed down bottom side.
Now 369 is going to have a massive CS advantage. He used his teleport to get himself up here in the top lane, just trying to deny as much farm as possible from ADD's Akali while still getting pressure on the turret plating. Won't be able to take one on this wave just yet, but ADD is already down 14 CS.
Yeah, so not a lot had came from that. There wasn't even a turret plate that got traded over to 369 because he hasn't been in the lane long enough. QuiQui doesn't do that much without a Sheen, in all honesty. So checking out the total effect of that last play, Top Esports came out ahead once again. And we expected it because it's a Zyra Khan and they've always looked so aggressive. And more to the point, the execution coming out from top around their bottom lane is so clean. Because the first engagement they had was onto Jinjiao when XinMo was in the middle of a creep wave, so he couldn't land his Q. Second one, very similar situation. Wait until he burned his Q and then immediately engage onto the enemy. So they're playing this mechanically very strong.
Yeah, that last engage they had, both of them were at max plasma stacks, and still there was no way for Jinjiao to proc it. So now Meteor going to try and find a little bit more momentum for himself, going to pick up the Scuttle Crab on the top side of the map. Will give ADD a little bit more safety from ganks, but doesn't matter if Knight decides to gank down towards the bottom side of the map. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. XX about to hit that level 6 mark. He does have the Predators available. Has the boots picked up already from his first back.
Yeah, and look, that's the tough part about going into a Skarner, right? Because you always want to shut him down. You want to make sure that he can't race until level 6. You want to make sure that he can't safely farm as much as he can before he gets into team fights. However, because of the nature of Skarner, you can never go into his jungle and try to 100-0 assassinate him. Even if you bring your support with you, it's going to be very difficult because of his passive stun. So, oh boy.
Chocho wasn't able to find the knockup. XinMo not able to find the hook either, though. So Top Esports going to be able to get away with just poking down the bottom lane of BLG. And now looks like it may be a Mountain Drake being under contention here by XX, but he needs to make sure there's no wards around first. 369 might be in trouble. ADD's about to hit 6. Meteor's up on the top side. 369 very, very smartly backing.
And and going back to the point, the entire check that Skarner has is, can my enemy jungler actually take me on in a 1v1 before I get to level 6? Answer is no, because any assassin can just get locked down. Enemy team can always collapse down onto you. So Skarner has more or less of a free entryway, but in all honesty, Meteor's not looking to assassinate him. He's looking at soul lanes.
Here comes the engage. Chocho able to get the knockup onto XinMo. Jinjiao, as you said, flashes away, but XX looking for the impale. He's hit level 6, finds the impale onto Jinjiao. Jinjiao in trouble, gets taken down. Top Esports still alive. Every single member who came down to the bottom lane.
Yeah, I was actually commending XinMo because he used his last auto attack, even though he was being aggressed onto XX to make sure that his ADC could get out safely, but the flash was just too strong, and you can't get away from the Skarner who flash ulties you, and Jinjiao gets taken down earlier.
Meteor coming down for the gank, not quite level 6 just yet. LokeN and Chocho have to fight this one off. No knockup available there for Chocho, no mana as you said. He will get taken out, but LokeN still survives. Top Esports not entirely upset about that one.
Yeah, and that's still what you want at the end of the day. You want to make sure that you can get a return kill, and while that was so well played by Top, they don't respect the fact that Meteor was there, XX backed off, and they evened it around once again. But this is not the position that you want to play in if you're BLG. Checking this out one last time, of course, there is a Drake that's being taken. Skarner is going towards that direction, but as soon as they do, the rise with the Realm Warp brings him in. Great play once again by XinMo, but then the flash comes down from XX, and while you did root him down, the flash gets him into the correct position.
Knight now going to be able to clear out this mid lane wave. He's been able to pick up the tier in the Lost Chapter for himself, so he's got plenty of mana sustain in this mid lane. Now Meteor looking to aggress a little bit more. Chocho, once again, this has been the common pattern here for the supports for Top Esports. They have always been roaming towards the mid lane to try and help Knight, because they know once he gets ahead, the team gets ahead.
Yeah, he's priority, and they're putting resources onto him. Nothing really surprising about the way that they play. BLG, they do need to read this, though. They have got a good control ward, which does mean that they'll know if anybody from top is moving in from the bottom side towards mid lane, so at least they can defuse that situation. But more to the point, they certainly need to negate everything that can happen in mid lane. While Kuro has a lot of lockdown for his own ganks, he doesn't have a lot of tools to get out if he is ganked by the enemy.
Now LokeN going to be very careful in the bottom lane. It looks like Akali going in on the 369. Valkyrie out with the special delivery. 369 is safe for now. Still has the actual Valkyrie available. But needs to be very careful coming forward because he knows ADD can do that. That was just his E.
That was just that and nothing else. And the whole point of this matchup is that you need to facilitate your jungler coming in. Obviously a much harder task for 369 because he's got no hard CC of his own. There's no real way that he can goad ADD into going forward other than using himself as bait to say, look, you can 100-0 me, but even that is very risky play. Looks like XX shouldn't really be focusing up the top side anyway. This just looks like a clean denial away, but XX is actually focusing down bottom.
A lot of damage being put down onto Jinjiao onto this tower. XX not been spotted just yet. The Predator will give it away.
And it's also very difficult to execute this because the first time that he did it, he had Flash in order to get into the correct position. This time he does not.
No Predator available, no Flash available, as you say, but Knight is here, has no Realm Warp
yeah,
either.
No Realm Warp either.
What are you doing, Top Esports? They're not going to be able to find this gank in the bottom lane. They've wasted a whole lot of time on this. Just no tools to execute it.
But don't forget, we said as soon as Champs League was done that it's a complete paradigm shift. It's actually BLG who want to get the early game advantage. Now that they have a goal deficit, not looking that great for themselves. Top is in their right minds, very comfortable to just scale up.
Looking for the scaling here. ADD maybe diving onto 369 under the tower. Just going to play this one out carefully as he can for 369. And 369 not doing great on the damage, but there's no energy here for ADD, so he can go in for the engage. 369 picking up a lot of damage onto that one. But Top Esports bottom lane, despite the presence of Meteor, is not going to go down. So kill total 2-2, but Top Esports, despite BLG wanting the stronger early game, Top Esports once again finding it.
They executed it. I mean, it looks great. Honestly speaking, when you take a look at LokeN and QuiQui, out of all people, to be helping him in the bottom lane, this actually looks really great from Top Esports. They're securing their own leads. They're making sure that their junglers have a clean path in. And more importantly, Meteor has been completely shut out from going bottom lane. You haven't even seen him look that way.
The one time he did, he was just completely ineffectual. So now, Top Esports rotate their bottom lane up towards the top side of the map to give pressure on the Rift Herald. Next dragon spawning in 45 seconds. It will be a Mountain Drake, so Top Esports, I feel like they might want to contest that one as well, but they will have no one to do so except for 369.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of good tools to do so. I mean, the Flash should be coming up from XX. The Realm Warp is already up from Knight, not to mention the fact that the ultis and full summoners are available from the bottom lane. That looks like utter dragon control, but they're looking to use the top side.
There's a knock-up. They're just trying to kill out XinMo before the fight starts. Have the Ignite ticking, might be able to find it. Oh no, LokeN's in trouble, has to blow the heal, going to keep himself safe for the time being. Regardless, Rift Herald doing a hell of a lot of damage to him, actually. Nico in trouble. Kuro's pretty low on health bar. Looks like, no, here he comes. Flash, pop blossom, not going to be enough to find LokeN. LokeN's still alive for the time being. Finally gets shut down by Kuro. Kuro goes golden. Meteor looking for the damage, still has no ultimate available. And it looks like Top Esports running away. They're able to find the Rift Herald off the back end of the fight. 369 and XX fighting as best they can. The Spire is helping XX so much. Flash over the wall from 3 members. XX still alive despite all indications. May actually be able to get out of this one. Here come the dashes. It's going to be enough to pick him up, but 369 poking out as much as he can. Not going to be enough to save his jungler.
Where's the air support? 369 just went towards his own lane. He was just farming that up while his jungler was chasing it away. XX could have actually got out of that, but that's all coulda, shoulda, woulda. And BLG's early game composition actually coming out huge for them. Even though they lost out that last Rift Herald, they still managed to pick up kills onto the backside. Could have been a little bit more, but honestly speaking, it was very clean coming in from this execution. It all started because they virtually 100-0 XinMo, but he managed to survive, even with a heal coming out from Jinjiao to save his own life. But now, take a look at the backside of this. Knight is coming in, and also Kuro to join him. And while there is a very beautiful flash from LokeN in order to get out of the flash from Kuro, still does the damage and still managed to lock down QuiQui.
Of course, the rest of the fight, LokeN gets taken out, and suddenly a lot of damage missing there for Top Esports, but it's not an entire loss for them because XX is still able to secure that Rift Herald just barely.
Yeah, he manages to get it, and there's a fight.
Oh, here's a fight. Meteor in trouble, but instead it looks like it's going to be Knight who falls. This is really bad here for Top Esports. 7 kills in the pocket of BLG so far. It's looking like the reverse sweep might be starting.
Well, you always got to keep your eyes onto who has the advantage. And even though Knight just fell down in that instance, they still have a gold lead, so Top is still in the lead. And more importantly, they've got that Rift Herald that they are summoning into the bottom lane. This is quite risky because there's no TP from Knight. Once he comes back up, he can't join the rest of his team. And they're trying to push this with fewer members than BLG.
Ideally, it's supposed to force a choice, though, I think. And unfortunately for them, it's not going to force a damn thing. Supposed to be choosing, I suppose, between saving the tower and saving the Mountain Drake, but unfortunately, Top Esports just didn't have the manpower to force that out. Chocho going to be able to find a beautiful knockup. There's the charm coming in. The Impale as well. Jinjiao in a whole lot of trouble. The feathers fly, but it's not going to be enough to lock down Jinjiao. Here comes 369 for some poking. The air support's finally here, but too little, too late. And Kuro has the Pop Blossom available. He's on the sidelines. No flash for him.
And more importantly, the strength of Nautilus Kaiser is seen then, because while there was an engage onto the Kaiser, Nautilus puts down his CC, which puts Plasma onto the enemy, which allowed Jinjiao to instantly ultimate away from them. So everything was coming together for BLG in order to disengage that Skarner ultimate in the bottom lane. It's very minute, but when you see it, it's beautiful to see.
Top Esports getting outmaneuvered by BLG so far in the early game after a bit of a rough start. BLG seem to have found their footing. Now they're going to be able to pick up their first dragon of their own. It's going to be the Mountain Drake. No pings going down onto it by the side of Top Esports, so I assume they've given up on contesting it.
I mean, they tried to get advantage, but yeah, like we just saw with that Rift Herald play in the bottom lane that didn't actually eventuate into much, because they gave away too much, because Knight was actually caught while he was trying to get some pressure and vision down for his team. They just want to back away from that. Looks almost too traumatizing for them to really stare down.
They're going to be trying to split push again. Once again, the 1-3-1 is started here for Top Esports, but this time they do not have the early game advantage that they have in previous games, so might be a little bit more of a dicey situation.
Yeah, but the question is who exactly you're going to put into that lane. While the laners are still very strong for BLG, they're really struggling to find anybody who can 1v1 Knight in specific. Because while it is a Rise, it is Knight's Rise, and he has always looked so strong on pretty much any champion that he's shown himself on in a 1v1. So Top weren't really abusing the fact that they had a good composition for that. They were abusing the fact that they had a good player, and nobody from BLG really wanted to face it up there.
Speaking of good player, it's 16 minutes in, and Knight already has the fully stacked Arcane.
I mean, that's ridiculous, right?
He's just out here living his best life, and he's got as much mana and shielding as he needs. So going into future fights, he's going to have a lot more power, and I want to see what he's going to pick up on the first back. We've already seen 369 back to pick up the Trinity Force. LokeN's picked up the Essence Reaver, and now Oblivion Orb picked up by Knight.
And I like that you highlight that it's a very early Seraph's Embrace that is there for Knight, because usually Rise would go for the late game build of the Rod of Ages as well. But the fact that Knight has opted to go for this one means that he wants the early game and he wants to fight very, very soon. It's smart of him to go for this pick because, of course, in 9-13, Rise got nerfed so that he doesn't have a passive shield anymore. So that's going to more than make up for what he lost in those patch notes. But more to the point, that does indicate Top are looking for a fight, and they're looking for one soon.
Looking for a fight, but if BLG don't even start contesting the objectives, there's not going to be a fight. It's just going to be a whole lot of gold going into the pockets of Top Esports. They still have a gold lead at this point, but Meteor's going to try and fix that as he looks for the gank here on tonight.
Yep, double assassin composition into a Rise. He does have a shield, but he doesn't have Azonya's.
Oh, it's he's not going to be able to find the Realm Warp, and now it's 1 versus 3 under tower. Knight trying to stay alive, but there's nothing you can do. That is so unfortunate, but in the bottom lane, they're going to try and take down this tower as fast as they can. 369 and Chocho chunking it down, but they won't be able to find it. Now 369 might be in trouble. XinMo looking for a hook. Not going to be fast enough to find it.
Yeah, that Rise ultimate looked a bit awkward to see, so maybe we can get a replay of it, but nonetheless, it was stopped and managed to take down that Rise, who was 1v3 in the top lane.
LokeN in a lot of trouble now. Hextech GLP 800 blown, and in return, LokeN has to use his ultimate. So this is starting to get very, very scary for Top Esports. And BLG finally coming out, guns blazing, and finding success for it.
Yep. While they are up 4 kills, but you always have to keep in mind what other factors of the map are keeping them from just executing on their double assassin comp, on their multi-man lockup comp with the Nico as well. And that is, of course, the fact that 2 turrets went towards top. Not only that, but they got full turret plating from one of them as well, which does mean that they're still in the lead in terms of gold. It is a 1k advantage, so nothing to sweat about, honestly, from BLG. But the fact that BLG don't have a lead is really the thing that's worrying for them, because they want the item breakpoints. If you take a look at the inventories, only 1 item available for ADD, only 1 completed item for Meteor as well. Not quite at the point that they can 100-0 somebody if they just catch him roaming around.
No, and while you're punishing Knight with plenty of kills, he's still going to be able to split push. He's keeping up in CS with Kuro, despite his lack of success in his own lane. So, Knight going to be looking into the jungle with Chocho. Maybe this is why they swapped him out. The communication between mid and support seems to be pretty strong here. XX going to come in. They're looking to contest the red buff at this point, I think. No, they're setting a trap.
Yeah, they just tried to camp this. I mean, with the CC lockdown from Chuchu and with the raw damage from Knight, they can 100-0 burst somebody if they walk in.
Here comes the Predator. They're going to be able to find one. Will it be the kill? Kuro in trouble, not going to be able to find the Pot Blossom, so that's 1 down, and Top Esports now maybe looking to shove into this mid lane. I don't think they can actually find an objective off it, though. There's no wave.
But it pays off, because they knew that Kuro was going to get distributed onto the bottom side. You already saw ADD was on the top side. There are no disengaged tools coming out for that Nico, so of course you're just 100-0 her. And you actually got Kuro to burn his ultimate in the process as well, without doing anything.
Now Top Esports want to try and take down this tower. Of course, they do have the Trinity Force available for 369, but beautiful amounts of wave clear coming out for BLG, so they won't be able to stop it at this point.
Yeah, but the next wave looks like it will be crashing to the point that Top could just pick up this tower. Doesn't look like there's enough defense from BLG, and LokeN can clear the wave.
Sidewave strong position for Top Esports as well. We'll be pushing down onto that bottom lane tower. But the Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. So Top Esports, ideally, if they're able to take down this tower, they can rotate straight towards the Dragon. But they want to stop this. Meteor's coming in for the flank, as is ADD. Beautiful, perfect execution. LokeN in a lot of trouble, but a great ultimate keeps him safe for the time being. ADD goes in, 369 in a lot of trouble, gets taken out by Jinjiao. And now Top Esports have nobody remaining. It's just 3 members back up. Knight going to be able to find himself safe with the Realm Warp. But they lose 2. For the tower.
And what a play coming out from BLG. They were baiting with those 2 members. Usually when a Skada runs towards a low health turret, you walk away. But the fact that you stayed and Top fell for that trap as well, it was so beautifully executed. I mean, ADD off on the side, going over the wall with 1 ulti, and then into pretty much 4 members with the other, secures them this objective potentially.
But XX still has the smite available. Top Esports still have 4 members up. They're going to try and look for XinMo. Here comes the Pot Blossom with a flash. A lot of damage down. XX might get taken out. XinMo's down. Knight going to be able to pick up the kill. Another kill picked up there by LokeN. And they've stopped the Baron fight. Top Esports coming in with the teleport. They're looking for Kuro. They know he's in the bush. But are they going to find him?
Yeah, 369, not overstepping his bounds. But that was the same as we saw in the early game, Niberia. LokeN once again flashing out of a crucial Nico ultimate. Those are the saving graces of BLG in order to constantly win them team fights, and they are not catching the ADC, which is who you need to catch with your ultis.
Top Esports, though, they're going to need a lot to get back into this game. Granted, they still have the gold lead, but the momentum so far, BLG have been doing an admirable job of keeping in their favor. The Infernal Drake, a good start here for Top Esports, alongside the red buff taken away.
Yeah, and this looks harder and harder, but this is really what I was talking about. 1 ultimate to get over, and another one to lock them down. Meteor off on the side with a multi-man supreme display of talent. And that was really it, because that enabled Jinjiao to just dive into the backline with his ultimate. He saw the potential, and he just went straight for it. This one was also great, however, ultimately not actually catching out Knight, I should have said, because he ran out of that ulti. And after all that's said and done, I mean, that was just unfortunate that the Baron last hit the Akali.
But now, I mean, you look at the items, and Knight's been able to pick up the full off Morel and Amicon, so he's got the full spell pen build going down. 369 looking towards his Infinity Edge, and I think Top Esports think that they can just take this Baron at this point. Instead, they're just going to establish Vision, establish the Spire.
Yeah, I don't think that they could just take the Baron 100-0 because, of course, there is still very strong control over it from BLG. They still have superior kills, and when you take a look at the kill distribution 4 onto Meteor, you need to respect that. Baron pit is one of the places that you cannot play around because that ultimate pretty much hits the entire pit.
If there's another fight, though, I feel like Top Esports have it won. Yes, the zone has been completed for Kuro, but ADD still sitting on just the Gunblade. You look down towards the bottom lane, that's 2 items on Jinjiao, but 2 stronger items on LokeN. That double AD item power spike for Xayah puts out so much damage.
You need to respect it, and it's also for the cooldown as well. So if he gets one blade collar, he's got to get down a second one in the middle of a fight. You need to respect both of them, and it's really hard for BLG to navigate around. But once again, same strengths that they've always had. They've got the Akali and also the Qiyana for the double damage execute if they can find Knight. And more importantly, they've got the control with Meteor's ultimate such that Top can never fight around the pit.
Top need to be careful. They need to find a pick, but if you're going to find a pick with a composition, one that includes a Skarner, probably the best one to try and find it with.
I mean, Skarner definitely has the tools, and we already saw the execution with Knight's ultimate. They know how to play this composition, but they just need superior vision in order to find a straggling member. Meteor could be that person.
They're looking to find him. Control ward going to be taken down there.
They don't know that he's there.
He's still sitting on the side. Might be trying to find 369 here. They're pinging out that they know this is not happening. Uh-oh. 369 in a little bit of trouble, going to get spotted by that ward. So far, so good. But this is so tense around the Baron.
It is. And they're just trying to get some vision advantage. While Meteor walks around that pit, nobody from top can necessarily contest him. Because if you get pushed into a wall, everybody else who is there to back you up is also going to get stunned away. It's so hard to execute from top. And while BLG can't get such strong control over it that they can just start the Baron, they can always deny away top from doing it so long as Meteor is alive. And that is the biggest threat.
That said, XX soon is going to have the perfect storm for pick potential. He has the Righteous Glory picked up. The Predator is about to come off cooldown, and he's going to have the Flash ready in a few seconds. So Flash Impale with Predator and Righteous Glory, that is an unavoidable pickoff. And the only one with QSS is Jinjiao.
Yeah, so if you go towards Kuro, if you go towards ADD, then you're taking out crucial members. I would even imagine that at this point in the game, because Baron is the next biggest priority, if XX caught out Meteor, there's not a whole lot of response, and with a jungler dead, free Baron to you.
Meteor's got most of their gold, too. You have to then concede that Jinjiao is going to put out a ton of damage, but you can't find him anyways with that ultimate. He's got the QSS.
And more importantly, BLG, their entire comp revolves around XinMo getting CC onto the correct members so that Jinjiao can ult here.
They may have found the pick onto Meteor. Righteous Glory already popped. They're going to try and look for the Impale. They take down Meteor. LokeN already incredibly low. Does he have the Featherstorm? No! A beautiful Pot Blossom going to come in and stop him. Kuro goes golden. ADD looking for the assassination on the side. He gets taken out by Knight. Now XinMo and Jinjiao, the only ones alive. They find Knight, but he won't go down. Realm Warp coming in. They're trying to look for Jinjiao still. He flashes over the wall to safety, but 369 still on the chase. They spot him out, but they're going to rotate away instead.
And getting punished so hard because Meteor is on the wrong position. We said that if they fought around the pit, then BLG would win 9 out of 10 times with that Qiyana ultimate, but they fought around the blue buff, and there was no such ultimate that was enabling BLG.
Jinjiao going to try and make the hero play here. 5,000 health on the Baron.
What are you doing?
Daring him to go in at this point. Jinjiao so low. He's taken down the shutdown from Knight. The Baron picked up, and Top Esports, just as soon as control started ceding to BLG, they grab it back with a 6K gold lead in the Baron.
It is so strong for top right now. They got the Baron buff, they got the gold lead, and more importantly, they got the crucial pick. This was it. Meteor saw what they were doing, but he is disconnected from the rest of his team. Even if XinMo hit that Q, wasn't going to save his life because he gets pushed back into all 5 members, and while this is a very good ultimate coming out from Kuro, it is too little too late. Your jungle is dead, you are down members, and there's superior damage that we were already talking about from top's composition that is just running you down.
This Baron team play was absolutely beautiful from Top Esports, and now they're going to get a second Mountain Drake. They have gotten the absolute best roles here for these dragons. Infernal, Mountain. They can take down objectives, and they can take down towers insanely fast, and they've got a Corki.
Yeah, this is pretty ridiculous for top right now, and BLG has to be reeling because there is no good place for them to be fighting around. Usually if you have an Akali and also a Qiyana, fighting around the jungle is pretty good because if your enemy are caught around any of the walls, especially the clumps, then you can just stun all of them, but it doesn't look like Top's going to be playing around the jungle. They're just going to be barreling down all of these lanes with the Baron buff, and that is more or less the worst case scenario for BLG. You haven't got any avenues in, there's no real flank potential because you're a very squishy composition, only relying on XinMo as your front line. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to work out.
Well, and look at what you have to burst down that front line. You don't have really a tank here on the side. Oh no, This is really
They
bad
want it
for Top
anyway.
Esports. They need to take down the front line now. Here comes the engage from the side. Pop Blossom lands onto 2, but will it be enough? ADD goes in with the perfect execution, but it won't be. Top Esports going to be able to find the ace. This could be match point.
Before they even fought, XinMo was taken down. Top Esports, they are securing this game. They're securing their match. They're securing first place in our regionals.
They're going to make their way with this victory into the finals of the Gauntlet, further towards Worlds, and now they have effectively knocked out BLG, gotten JDG back in, and gotten themselves ever closer to that Worlds.
The last fight. BLG needed to pull it out in this game, and unfortunately, they did not find the correct fights. Top played that so well. It was a paradigm shift where we were saying Top actually scale better the later they go. BLG did not have the early game lead they needed. They were playing outside of their comfort zone, and unfortunately in split number 2 of 2019, they could not hold themselves within the series.
And it's so impressive from Top Esports as well, because if you look at the perceived weaknesses of the team, you look at perceived strengths of BLG, you would assume Top Esports would lose by getting out macro, but that did not happen. Game number 1, admittedly, was very, very close to that occurring. But in game numbers 2 and 3, Top Esports were on top of their macro game, and my God, were they on top of their micro game.
And that was such a fast game as well. Take a look. The first turret fell in around 10 minutes. They were grouping up from that point onwards. The strengths that BLG had were to isolate the enemy on top into solo lanes so they could 1v1 them, so they could 1v2 them and assassinate them outright. However, that never happened. Top were always grouped up. It was always Knight and XX roaming around the map as well. No assassination potential, no front line, no real 5v5 team cohesion from BLG meant that they just lost out.
Now, of course, BLG have been lost out entirely of Gauntlets as well. Their chance at a Worlds run is gone. JDG are back in, but Top Esports had a vice-like grip on this game from minute 1. BLG did an admirable job stopping it from snowballing any further. We'll give them that, but Top Esports finally found the trigger. They finally found a place where they can say, all right, we're just going to flip this one. We're just going to take it home. And they did.
Yeah, and look, game number 2 and game number 3 looked so dominant from Top. First game you said, maybe they stole it away, maybe that should have gone towards BLG. But the second and third one, no questions, no doubts at all. It was so well executed. The second one, they wanted to fight early. They got them. They got the leads for themselves that they needed. The third game, they just waited out patiently. Take down the first turret because you have advantage over this Rift Herald, and then just never stop grouping from that point onwards. How are they going to assassinate you when you got all 5 members standing there? It was so hard for BLG to ever execute their team comps into Top, and while Top had an MO of the way that they wanted to play, I love the fact that they knew what BLG wanted to do and they shut it down.
Yeah, this is a stronger Top than we have seen in their previous series, because against RNG they just got muscled out, and it seems like they just knuckled down and they're like, okay, what do we need to figure out in order to find our X Factor, bring ourselves back in? If we can't beat Uzi in the lane, what other things can we win against stronger teams like that?
Yeah, and look, that was the biggest flaw that they had coming into this. They were focusing too much onto the bottom side, trying to outplay Uzi and Ming, trying to actually get an advantage over themselves. We said, maybe you don't quite know your win conditions, maybe you don't know how to distribute your players in the early game to make sure that you can get those leads. Throw that out the window, because they look perfect in the second and third game. They knew exactly where to play. They knew that they could find their advantage by grouping up. They knew the enemy strategy and how to counter it.
But speaking back about Bilibili Gaming, because of course this is, unfortunately for us, the last time we get to see them until next year. How do you feel about how they fared? Because I think in game number 1 they showed a lot of strengths, but in games number 2 and 3 it just felt like they got outplayed at their own game, and I'm not sure where that feeling is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, BLG within this series showed that they had some severe weaknesses because they only knew how to play one style. Play it slow, play it towards late game, and play it scaling. Second game, they got absolutely crushed on it because Top Esports moved around so much, got the early ganks available. So in third game, you saw that shake-up where they wanted to play towards the early game, double assassin. You've also got the lockdown with the Nico as well. That's something that you need to practice. You can't just pull it out and say, we need this is how we need to play. You need to actually have experience on it. So BLG need more tools in their kit. They need to play faster. And that's fun, because we're in the LPL, and we're saying a Korean-like team, a team that plays very slow and methodical, needs to play faster, but the reality is they need to have more than one style.
They have to have something that they can fall back on. And of course, we've seen them try a similar playstyle earlier in the playoffs where they pulled out the Nico, they pulled out the Kiana jungle, and it was like, cool, this works really well. We have really good team fights with it. But pulling it out here, they just couldn't make the pieces come together because Meteor got incredibly ahead.
Oh, yeah.
He was 4-0-5 at one point early on. He got gold for days. He was picking up kills left and right, but it just wasn't enough.
No, and ultimately he got caught out. And he got caught out because Top were forcing him into the Baron pit. They were starting the Baron. They were calling the bluff, divide and conquer. You have to say a part of that is communication, because there is no realistic way that Meteor should be walking into the wrong part of the map without any backup. But more to the point, they also easily get baited to the point where they didn't actually have a good comeback potential. I'm not going to say whether that's because they were 0-2, or whether they were on the cusp of losing, or whether that's something that's permanent within the team, but they need to change that up as well.
Well, I think this also speaks to one of the strengths of Top Esports that they demonstrated during these games, is just that ability to find the weakness in the opponent's play, to find that one play where someone on Top Esports is like, you messed up.
Yeah.
You did something wrong. We're going to flash in. We're going to punish you for it. Because that was how they won game number 1, in fact, was how they got a bunch of leads in game number 2, is just finding those little mistakes. And game number 3, of course, that's exactly how they got back in it.
Reading their enemies like a book, right? So you see in game number 3, oh, they've got, they want to execute us. They want to take us into a 1-3-1 where they can just 100-0 us because they got 2 assassins, because they got all of that. We're just not going to play towards that. We're going to group up. We're going to force the issue and make sure that you can't actually get your multi-man damage down. We're going to bait you into a Baron area as well. Yeah, it's knowing what your enemies want to do, and it's baiting them into doing it in a really bad moment, like we saw with Meteor going into that Baron pit. Overall, Top Esports have evolved. They've looked so much better, because at the start of this split, we saw them dominate their lanes, and if they didn't dominate their lanes, they couldn't really come out with the victory. But they look so strong in game number 3.
Yeah, and I think this is an important evolution for Top Esports here, because a lot of people, you know, I know you guys in chat were spamming TESM in their last series. I saw you! And I feel like that's no longer a fair comparison. It isn't Knight and 4 Wars. I don't feel like it was a fair comparison in the first place. But I feel like now it's even less fair, because Knight, yes, he popped off, and yes, he was a major catalyst in all 3 games, but it wasn't just him. XX stepped up in game number 2 and started finding the control that he wasn't able to in game number 1. And LokeN was absolutely nuts in those team fights in game number 3.
LokeN and ChuChu, mind you, so we sort of just like skipped completely over the fact that we substituted ChuChu into a support position. He looks so good, and I'm not going to throw any shade towards Ben, but the fact that ChuChu can come in, Zaya Rakan once a game in game number 2 and 3, the fact that his communication looks so crisp, and if there were a little bit of extra factors like a heal in game number 2, he could have even got a straight 2v2 kill into the bottom lane. That is really food for thought going into next year for TOP.
Yeah, having that flexibility in the bottom lane, because of course they've brought in ChuChu before. I believe last split they brought him in once or twice. Trying to remember if they brought him in this split, but he shows up infrequently, to say the least. And they have a similar opportunity in the top lane, but they didn't actually bring in Moyu this series, which I think fares really well and looks good for Top Esports going further into the gauntlet when he has to face up against people like the Shy, potentially. When you have a top laner who is relatively inexperienced, mechanically gifted, but mental not always the strongest. He's had to be subbed out in series before. We assume to give him a little bit of a reset. Who can take the punishment on that Jace game? He was absolutely crushed in the early game.
Look, that's important, right? You always need the mental reset. You always need to have multiple members onto your team to substitute out, not necessarily because people are playing bad, because there are holes in the champion pools, but also just to make sure that you got some fresh eyes onto the game and a new perspective. Yeah. And the fact that they are going into first place within our players to potentially make it towards Worlds, then that is a really good sign, because they've got multiple members, they can rotate them into multiple different roles, and they can just take a look at the map however they want. Fresh new perspective, fresh new takes onto the calls as well. Look pretty clean.
And we're going to take it to our MVP, and I called it. It's going to be LokeN coming up there, the AD carry, the beautiful Zaya play, those feather storms, things of perfection.
Yeah, and he kept himself safe. He made sure that the enemy would burst it down. His main role in the middle of team fights was actually just not to die, and his ultimates were definitely on point. So playing towards his MO and helping out everybody else on his team as well. It was pretty much instigated immediately from the bottom lane. This is what we love to see. The Rise and also the Skarner, with that combination, it worked out so well. But more importantly, this is all setting up the bottom lane such that LokeN can actually contribute raw damage into their team fights, which is the one thing that the rest of the comp lacks.
Yeah, and LokeN isn't always thought of as a strong member of top esports. A lot of people will say the bottom lane is the weakest of the three. I would agree with that, but that doesn't mean they can't pop off. LokeN in this fight especially able to pick up and put out so much damage throughout this game consistently, 32%. There's a reason he got that.
And take a look at this. Even though he gets caught out by the counter, it doesn't even matter because he fulfilled his role. Everybody on BLG was actually moving towards the bottom side, completely ignoring Meteor. Meteor gets bursted down. You're trading a 1-for-1. If everybody disengages, you still win. Your opponents still win out because they can go towards the Baron. So very smart plays coming out from this ADC. Surviving for the most part, trading his life when he absolutely needs to. He deserved MVP for a reason.
Absolutely. And it's nice to see that there is the potential for pop-off from every member, because if you want to be, if we're looking forward, if we say top esports, they come into the gauntlet in the finals, let's say we assume they might make it to Worlds. If they do get there, you're going to need to be able to have those flexible strategies. You're going to have mid laners that challenge Knight. You're going to have top laners that challenge 369. But if you have bottom laners that don't challenge LokeN and Ben, if you have that potential for them to pop off, or even LokeN and Chocho now, if you have that potential, that is so much stronger. You need that in order to compete on a world stage. So I think this is a good step forward for top esports.
And look, if you're going to be substituting Chuchu in time and time again to support of all positions, especially if you are looking towards Worlds as one of your biggest debuts, you need some solid experience onto him. You need some game time. Of course, this was one of the bigger series because even if they lost, they would have still remained within the gauntlet, just at a lower level. BLG would have progressed. But because they won, because they're seeded into first place, and they'll be one of the last teams to actually play for the LPL, that just means that they're going to have even better of a time. This was one of the best times to bring in. This was one of the best times to bring in Chuchu in a support position. And honestly, he looks so good.
Yeah. Top esports looking absolutely prepared. But speaking of preparation, we do have a finals coming up. So let's take a look at the playoff bracket. The results of that, top esports, of course, going into that gauntlet. They did take down BLG today 3-0 in case anyone's just tuning in. But September 6th, it's this Friday, for anyone who's wondering, we're going to be having the grand finals between FPX and RNG.
In 2 days, Niberia. It sounds ridiculous to say. I mean, the whole year's gone so quick, but it's all culminated to this point. Of course, we just saw the two teams that did fall down. So if that was a really good series to watch, then FPX and RNG in the finals in 2 days is going to be even bigger.
FPX, nigh undefeated for the past two splits, are looking absolutely dominant. But RNG this split have suddenly just found some sort of magic elixir. And they fed it to Xiaohu, and he's like, all right, I'm ready. I'm not Little Tiger anymore. I'm Big Tiger. I'm Dahu.
I mean, he needs it. That's exactly what he needed, because facing down against DoinB, you need every inch that you could possibly take, because DoinB is a legendary mid lane. And now that Xiaohu is up to level, it's going to be mid lane rivalry. It's going to be bot lane rivalry. Obviously, you're talking about Uzi down there as well. So every single inch is going to be contested for within this finals, and I just cannot wait to get it started. It's 2 days. I don't think I'm going to get much sleep just thinking about it.
I don't think so either, and it looks like Day 1, best of 5 is going to be the gauntlet. Of course, JDG, since Top Esports did win today, they're going to make it into the first round versus Invictus Gaming. It's going to be a best of 5 on that Saturday. Then Sunday, this is the decider of who goes to World. It's going to be the winner of the first matchup against Top Esports, who just found their way there. So either Invictus Gaming or JD Gaming will be facing off against Top Esports.
More games after the finals. Stay tuned. And more importantly, we just saw on your screens that JDG are thankful, because Top 1, which saved them in contention, which means that they are still playing off to potentially make it.
It's like, thank you. Thank you so much.
They're in.
But they need to make sure that they're going to earn it against Invictus Gaming, so they need to be very, very careful when they're going into this next series. So there's a lot coming up in the coming days. Of course, FPX versus RNG. We get to see Xiaohu versus DoinB, Tian, and Karsa.
Got the qualifiers afterwards. And more importantly, we've already seen JDG versus IG. We know how that ended up in the first split. So potentially an upset once again in the second split.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. We will be back, of course, on Friday for the grand finals of the LPL 2019 summer. From us, thank you so much for coming to watch. Thank you to our production team, and we hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. We'll see you Friday.